We're live. So, welcome everybody to yet another live interview show with Become a Fearless Father. And today I am accompanied by Greg. I want to say Rollett because of the double T. Is that correct? Or
nah, man, it's Rollett. Yep, hard T's,
yeah.
hard T's,
All
no
right.
silent T's. Yeah.
No silent T's. All right, cool. I appreciate that. Thank you for correcting me.
All good.
Anyway, for the people that are watching, are now like, wow, you're a lot quieter than usual, because usually when I go on, I blow up. It's my kids are asleep and I'm trying to keep it down. My wife last time said, it would be nice if you could keep it down a little bit. So I'm trying.
Nice. I understand, man.
Anyway, Greg, thank you so much for coming on. Let's start off first because I have a question. I was checking out a little bit and I saw on your profile, like you just launched episode 10 of your podcast, Dad Chat, which I was like, that is so cool. And then I started checking it out and I'm like, okay, iTunes, Greg. And then it was just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, whoa, this guy's got some podcasts. And then I know you're busy with other things as well. And I'm thinking like, first thing I got to ask him is like, okay, is there such a thing as balance then? Because, you're also dad, you're married. So is there such a thing that is called balance?
100%. And I think that's the most important thing. And what I teach a lot of my clients, the entrepreneurs that I get to work with, is that you get to choose, right? And that's the beautiful part about being in business, is that you get to make the rules. You get to set the standards, you get to set the expectations. And if you set those, you can have balance. And look, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I'm always thinking about business, right? Like, end of the night, kids are down, I'm reading books. I'm like, and so it's not that the brain shuts off, but you totally have the ability to, we call it on the podcast, like the ability to take over the world, but still get home in time for dinner. It's the entrepreneurs who say, I have to take that dinner meeting, or, I can't make the little, like, you did that to yourself because you didn't set the expectations. You didn't have maybe the positioning that you needed. You didn't. And so I believe that you can have it both. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, right? Like, it's not a cakewalk. It's never easy. But the idea is that as an entrepreneur, you get to set the rules, and most entrepreneurs forget to set the rules. And so I think that's a big part of, some of the things that we can talk about today, but I think you can have it all. And I think you can have balance.
I love it. See, that's why I'm so excited to have you on. I totally 100% agree. That's exactly what I teach to my clients as well. It's important, especially when they come, it's like, okay, business is going all right, but then something is lacking, right? And they're like, I can't figure it out. I'm like, it's simple. It's not easy, right? You just got to know a lot of some other tricks. And I'm really interested later on to hearing what your tricks, tips, secrets maybe are to get that for all entrepreneurs that's out there. But before we get into that, Greg, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background story. And besides that, share also, tell us a little bit about your marriage and about your kids. So we get the full picture of, okay, what's Greg as an entrepreneurial dad all about?
Yeah. So when I was 16, two really cool things happened. One is that I decided that I wanted to be a rapper. We'll get to that in just a second. And two, I went to a Sweet 16 party and ended up meeting my wife. And I rapped at the Sweet 16, obviously, because that's what, white kids from the burbs do. And so, from that stage, from that setting, it's kind of crazy how things like play out in life. But ended up dating Jennifer, who then becomes my wife. We've now been married for 12 years. And at the same time, I started this entrepreneurial journey because I wasn't called entrepreneurship. I was just trying to be a musician, but no record label wanted to sign me. No one was like, I can't wait to put this white rapper on stage tonight. Like it's what we've always wanted at our bar or our club. So I always had to fight to, make my own money so I can go to the studio and make my own music. I pressed my own CDs. I was going to the flea market. I was going to parties on Friday nights, just slanging CDs and, and did really well in college. I paid for college by building a recording studio in my dorm room. And I've had everyone from Bone Thugs and Harmony to Trick Daddy to JT Money, like a lot of big time rappers in my dorm room. And that's how I paid for college. I spent a couple years on the road, and my wife was there. Well, she wasn't my wife, girlfriend at the time, was there through all of it. Like, she's seen me at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And, again, you don't think of it as an entrepreneur. You're just in it. Like I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I was just selling studio time and trying to go play shows on Friday nights. Long story short, was in a band, was touring, doing big stuff. Right around the time I got married, the band broke up, and it was about a month after the wedding. And I had taken all of our wedding money. You know, this is the money you're supposed to like go buy like the fine china and the new furniture and start your life together. I took all that money and bought t-shirts and hats and buttons and stickers and hoodies and CDs for this tour. It was our first like sellout tour all across the East Coast of the United States, and the band broke up. No. And it was like devastating because at one time, obviously, when you get married, you're starting this new life and you've given your heart to somebody, and it's amazing. On the other side, it felt like I had just gotten divorced because these were kids that I had, you know, slept in roach motels with and been in vans with and spent years of my life with them. So it was this weird place. And my wife's parents, super supportive. And I had dropped out of college. I never finished school, you know, nothing really to fall back on. Like I was going to be an entertainer and just didn't work out. And they took me to like this internet marketing conference. And this is 14 years ago, well before the world that we know it today. And I figured out that everything that I was doing in the music world, from MySpace and Friendster and all these Napster and things that I'm dating myself on, is what entrepreneurs were doing online. They were just selling real products instead of music, and fell in love with it. Built, you know, over the last 15 years, built a really incredible business. Now we're in the media and marketing space. We have clients in 38 different countries, about 3,500 different clients, ranging from, you know, big names and, you know, multi-billionaire companies to the guy down the street who wants to use media and marketing to grow their business. I've been fortunate enough. I host a TV show on Amazon Prime called Ambitious Adventures, where we travel the country and profile entrepreneurs. I've been blessed to win an Emmy Award for some documentary work we did down in the Dominican Republic, like just amazing stuff. And then I guess 7 years ago, because, you know, things were going so well, we decided to have kids, you know, like let's just throw a monkey wrench into this whole thing. And since then, in the last 7 years, we have 3 boys. Colton is 7, Ryder is 5, and we have Ashton, who just turned 1 last month. All boys, and they are definitely all boy. And it's been the greatest adventure of anything I've ever done. Anything bigger than business, bigger than, you know, anything that we've done on the professional side, is being a dad. And as you mentioned, my latest kind of passion project is the new podcast called Dad Chat. And what essentially it's a news show for high performance dads, for dads who want to take over the world, but still get home in time for dinner, that don't want to sacrifice, you know, the growth of themselves, both personally and professionally, right? They want to take care of themselves. They want to be healthy. They want to, you know, have that energy, have that vibrance. They also want to, you know, be professionally successful, but not at the detriment of their kids. Because I've been around so many players, and again, I've been fortunate enough to, you know, produce documentaries on guys like Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, to Brian Tracy, to Larry King, and just amazing people. And you see, not naming names, but you see the regret that they have of, you know, I was on the road 300 days a year when my kids were growing up. Now my kids don't even know who I am. And, you know, you see that. And, you know, I feel like it's part of my mission to help people to build a business, like we talked about, with rules, with parameters, with these guidelines, so that you can, yes, look, have it all, like make the millions, make the billions, do all of that. But don't forget about the people who really care about you, and be there for them, because that's just as important as taking over the world and, you know, making flying cars, or, you know, whatever it is that you want to do. So, hopefully that answered your question. Rapper in a rock band to media and marketer guy, married my high school sweetheart, 3 boys, and we're just getting started, my friend.
Love it, love it. And for the people that are watching right now or listening to the replay, this is in the description section, but also I put it in the comment section for the people that are live right now. You can click on the link and check it out, right? This is a direct link to that podcast that you just talked about.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So yeah, man, this is important for me, for all of us, right? This is what we live for, helping out our fellow dad and fellow entrepreneurial dads to gain balance, to gain, as you said, to have it all, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, having kids and a business, but finding that balance is not easy, but it's so worth it, right? I mean, the fact, and you probably can share this, the fact that we have the option, and I love doing this every morning, waking them up, bringing them to school, and then picking them up from school, and then playing with them in the playground, or working with them on their, my oldest, my 6-year-old now, is getting a little bit of homework, so we're working on that, right? Yeah. It comes like a close second is working with my clients, by the way, to getting them the results. But, you know, it's really like out there, like it's that important. So absolutely. All right. So, man, where to start? So much stuff. Yeah, let's continue just with what we started with, talking about balance, right? So what are some of the tips that you share or that you'd like to share right now with us on how does one make sure that, there is balance, that we can have it all, right?
Yeah. So this is something I learned from one of my mentors and coaches. His name's Craig Ballantyne. He runs Early to Rise, and he's got a book called The Perfect Day Formula. And essentially, one of the concepts in the books is setting rules for your life. And most people, especially entrepreneurs, like we got into the entrepreneurial world because we didn't want rules, right? We wanted to write our own rule book. But the problem is rules set constraints so that you can do your best work. And when you have rules, it's easy to make black and white decisions. And these aren't rules, like the speed limit and different things. Like it's rules that you've established that if you follow these rules, you will have the best life possible. You will have the perfect day. And so one of the rules that I set into place right away was a rule for when I start work and when I stop work. And I think this is one of the biggest ones. And so I start work every day at 10 a.m. I end work every day at 4:45 p.m. And obviously that's on purpose, right? Those aren't just make believe like, oh, let's just start at 10 because I want to sleep. Like, no, that allows me, like what you said, like I get to wake the kids up. I get to make them breakfast. I get to pack their lunches. I get to take both of them to school. I drop Ryder off at about 9:15. I get to the office about 9:30. I have nothing on my calendar until 10. So I can read, I can check. Like I have the freedom to do what I want. But guess what? There's no phone call that's going to come in at 9 o'clock. There's no meeting that's going to come in at 9 o'clock. No one can schedule coffee with me. No one can. And because I've established these rules. And so the first part is establishing those rules. And I think start time and end time for work are really important. We all know, and there was just a study that just came out. We just covered this on Dad Chat, is that Microsoft went to a 4-day work week in Japan. And they're experiencing 40% more productivity on a 4-day work week because it's condensed. Well, I find the same thing is when I only have to work from 10 to 4:45, I get way more done because we know it. Like, look, if you got all day to do a project, guess when you're going to finish it? At the end of the day. So by squeezing the amount of time that you have to work, I feel like you are going to be more productive knowing that 4:45, computer, I'm shutting down, phone, getting turned off. And so I'm out. So I become, much more powerful there. So thing one is the mental constraint that amazing. The second thing is in all of my media, all of my calendars, my assistants, the people that answer my phones, they have that clock as well. So I use, I think even to book this with you, like you had like a scheduling app, right? Like a online calendar kind of thing. Well, do you know that those online calendars, you can tell it when you want to take calls and when you don't want to take calls. So if someone booked a call at 9 o'clock, that's your fault. You allowed them to book at that time. So I just don't allow anyone to book in those parameters. So that's why there's never a dinner meeting. I'm never surprised. Like, whoa, I have a dinner meeting. They physically can't do it. My assistant won't let them. The people that answer my phones won't let them. My online scheduler won't let them. It's just not possible. So I think that's really important. So the first thing is setting a rule for when you start work and when you stop work. And that is just really, really powerful. The second thing that we've done is no phones between the hours of 5 and 8. 5 and 8 p.m., no phones. So no checking social media because that's the other distraction, right? It's not just work. It's the other distractions. It's like someone just commented on, and I do a lot of media, right? So, someone just commented on my video or on my podcast or my picture or none of that from 5 to 8. That way, during the time that you are at, like just because you say you're going to end the day at 4:45 and you get home at 5 doesn't mean that you're going to be present with your kids if your head's stuck in this thing. Right. Yeah. So the second rule is no phones from 5 to 8. Again, but that no one schedules calls with me. No one can, is there. And the other thing is I publicize this. So I learned this from another mentor of mine, Dan Kennedy, in the direct response world, one of the best direct response marketers of all time. He just tells people how to communicate with him. So in every newsletter, every book, every seminar, the only way you can get in touch with Dan Kennedy is via fax. And this is like recent. This isn't like 30 years ago. Like today, if you want to call Dan Kennedy, you have to schedule a 20-minute phone call at least 3 weeks in advance, or you have to fax him. That's it. You can't just like call him on a whim, like, hey man, what's going on? And he tells his clients that. So the expectation is there. And so in my newsletters, in my emails, in all of this, I tell people like, hey, I got a baseball. Like as soon as you and I end this today, I said before we started, I'm like, I got a hard stop at the top of the hour. And the reason is I got to go to baseball. Like I'm coaching baseball tonight. Like that's way more important to me, but it's in the calendar. No one can schedule it. No one can take that time away from me. So publicizing it, talking about it in your videos, in your blogs, in your podcasts, like making it a part of your values, in your culture and, just the things that you do. Now other people start to see that and they respect your time more because you've told them that your time is valuable and that you're a family person. The other thing from a marketing and positioning standpoint that does is it displays your values. And, I want to work with like-minded people. Like, I love working with other dads because they get it. They know that 5 o'clock is dad time, and they respect that. If a client doesn't respect that, did you really want them as a client in the first place? There's probably a misalignment there. There were expectations weren't set. You're going to piss off or disappoint that client anyway. So again, I think it's establishing those rules, publicizing them through your media, and doing that as much as possible. And it creates the right positioning for you. So if anyone's just getting started in there, I hear this a lot from like real estate agents or insurance professionals who are like, yeah, but they want to see this house at 6 o'clock and they want to see this house right now. And I go, sorry, man, tell them that I would be happy to show you that house. I'll see you at 8:30 tomorrow morning, and just, you have to set those rules and parameters. If you don't, people will walk all over you because we all feel like I feel like my time's more valuable than yours. That's just how it's like, we're humans. That's just what we feel. But if you allow people to walk over you, they will. So you have to make that a constraint and a rule. And I think that, to me, that's the first thing that any dad can do and really start to create that balance.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. When you said I set my hours of when people can book in calls and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I learned that one the hard way. All week I was like, what happened? I did nothing. And then I was like, oh yeah, remember I had like 15 calls during the week. Like an hour each. It's like 8 live interviews. I'm like, all right, I got to change this right now. So now it's like, you want to have a live interview with me? Perfect. 9 p.m. every Thursday. Kids are asleep. That's the only time that's available. Right.
Exactly. And again, you figured out your magic time, your magic hour, your when it works for you. And guess what? I had to book at this time. That was if I wanted to come on the show. And I respect that. Right. And I think that now there's a mutual respect. We both value each other's time. I'm going to be on point for you. You're going to be on point for me. And we can both take over the world and still be home in time for dinner.
Exactly. Yeah, dinner's over, but we'll get time to go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now. But yeah, man, I love that. So one of the things, man, that I've noticed that a lot of entrepreneurial dads are struggling with is you mentioned it real quick, but to really shut off. I can understand, right? I don't even know where my phone is. Oh, there it is, right? My phone, you turn it off, and then when I'm with the kids, I don't even put any social media on it. I have Instagram on it just because somebody said oh, it's nice. People really like to see your Insta story. So I'm trying it with the kids, right? It's only, 15 seconds, 30 seconds? I don't even know. Haven't tried it yet that much. But anyway, but they're saying okay, yeah, I got the phone off and everything. But still, it's so hard to actually turn myself off, turn this off to be really present and focused with my kids, right? What would you say to that?
Man, I'm shouting out Craig Ballantyne a lot, but he taught me this and it changed everything. And it's called transition time. Okay. And you need to give yourself permission to transition from entrepreneur to dad and dad to entrepreneur. And there are a lot of different ways you can do that. So some people, it's natural. If you go to an office, you have that drive time between the time you leave the office and the time you get in the home. So what do you need to do to prime yourself to get into a state to now be a dad? Is that listening to music? Is that listening to a podcast or an audiobook? Is that, something on the parenting side? Is it something just a mindset? It doesn't matter what it is, but use those 15 minutes, not just to mindlessly drive home, but to transition. Maybe that's a time. So what I do is I have another podcast called The Daily Ambition. And it's a 10 to 15 minute show where I just kind of talk about the things that I'm doing to grow my business. And I do it 3 to 4 times a week. And on my way home, I have a little microphone that I put in the bottom of my phone. And as I'm driving, I talk into it. And essentially for me, that's my brain dump to get all the thoughts out of my head, all the things that are on top of mind. And I do it obviously in a way that now I can broadcast that. So it's not just completely word vomit, but I use that as a transition time. So now I've just done my brain dump for the day. Here's what I learned. Here's what went right. Here's what went wrong. Here's what I'm planning for tomorrow. And I'm using it kind of in a teaching context. So that way, when I get home, my mind is clear from that. My mind, I'm no longer entrepreneur Greg. I'm no longer this marketing media guy. Now I can be dad. So again, find, and you might need to try some different things to find that, but that transition time is huge. So in the morning, I also have it. So after I drop Ryder off, I have about a 10-minute drive to the office. So during that time, I have 3 or 4 audiobooks, 3 or 4 podcasts that get me going, get the blood flowing, get the ideas turning. That again, now I'm no longer dad. I'm not thinking about pickups and drop-offs and lunches. And then I'm like, all right, cool marketing idea, cool idea. Yes, boom, boom, boom. And it's transitioning into that. And I think that is the big thing, to allow yourself to turn this off. And to use those 15 minutes it's almost like when you're working out, right? You did it like I'm a CrossFit guy. So do crazy CrossFit workout, just destroy yourself. Well, they do cool downs where maybe you go on the bike or the rower or something like that, just for like 5-10 minutes, just to get the heart rate back down. Mm-hmm. Well, that's essentially what you're doing here is you just went hard all day as an entrepreneur, building your business, doing marketing, doing emails, doing all the crap that you're doing. That 15 minutes is almost like being on the bike where you just get your heart rate down. You release, now I can move on. And so that is huge because now I'm done with this. Now I'm this person. And so I think that's a big tip for everybody. And again, it's going to be different in how you do it, but the concept is solid.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just a question of trying what works for you, right?
Yeah. And if some like people ask me all the time, like, well, I work from home, I don't have drive time. And I'm like, well, then go for a walk. Go bike for 10 minutes, go leave, go to the freaking coffee shop to pick up like that coffee walk, like just something that separates the two. Right. And I think, again, you're gonna have to work through what that is, but you'll be very, very freeing when you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually clicked. Like I have to walk to the school to pick them up. And I guess that's where I just leave it out, but never, like I've noticed from you during these now 21 minutes that we've been on, you're very conscious with everything that you do. Right, you're very like specific on, okay, I'm doing this for this, and that's what I picked up. That's what I really, really like, and is specific. Like I've never realized, like, okay, yeah, that's the moment that I'm doing that without even realizing it. So now I'm going to be more focused on doing that as well.
Yeah, and even then on the walk home, right? So you now drop them off, you kiss them, you said goodbye, and now that 10-minute walk back, is it putting in the AirPods and just like, all right, I need to zone in and get ready? Is it, or is that walk like a meditative walk? Like, so again, it's taking advantage of the things that are already in front of us, right? And I think earlier you were just like, man, you did this podcast, this and this and this and this. But if you've heard me here, like one of my podcasts is during dead time. It's drive time, right? So I'm not having to find another 15 minutes in my day to do that show. I'm using time that I already have. And so same thing like with your walk home. And it's utilizing those dead periods, those transition periods for your benefit that is going to make you stronger. Because again, look, if I told you like, hey man, I need an hour from you every day to do, like you like, dude, I don't have an hour. Like there is no more hours. So, but there is those times in the day, like when you're cooking or when you're walking home with the kids, like find that time. That's why I tell people like with the podcast, like the greatest thing for me has been the drive home podcast, because I got to drive home anyway, right? I could be listening to music, or I get two benefits from it. I get the brain dump and the transition, and I get media that now I can put out 3, 4, 5 times a week that, builds my brand, gets more custom, like the whole deal. So that's been very, very powerful especially for parents who we don't have, like I tell parents, like you don't have 30 more minutes, right? Like there are an extra 30 minutes in the day. So you make the most of what you got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I said conscious, but I meant intentional. Really,
there you go. Yeah.
Sorry, I messed up the words.
Same concept. You got it, man.
Yeah. 3 languages every day, man. My brain sometimes goes.
I only do one, and I don't know what I'm saying half the time. So.
There you go. I like that honesty. So that was one question that I had. And then the other one was, because I really like that, no phones from 5 to 8, right? What about, because I've noticed this is a big topic as well, TV time, right? Or what I see a lot, and it surprised me a little bit. I think like in a 1 year old, 1 year and a half with a mobile, like in the stroller, mobile or what's it called, a tablet, right?
Yeah.
And what's your thought on that? I have my thought, but I really don't want to hear what you think.
So I do have a couple opinions on this. So one is that I want to encourage as much adventure and curiosity and wonder as I possibly can. There's a great TED Talk by Jeff Hoffman, who is the co-founder of Priceline.com. A friend of mine, I've had him in a couple events we've done, and he has a TED Talk all about wonder and how, as when we're kids, we have all this sense of wonder, and then as we get older, we lose that sense of wonder. But as kids, I want to encourage wonder, I want to encourage adventure, and I want to encourage curiosity. Now, that can come in multiple forms. So that curiosity can come in the form of, hey guys, we're going to go for a walk and let's be curious about the different animals and the nature and the different things in that side. It could be going to a park. It could be, we're big sports people, so playing baseball, skateboarding, things of that nature. But curiosity does also come, I do believe, from technology. And if any of us believe that there's going to be less technology when our kids are our age than now, we're kidding ourselves, right? Yeah. Like I'm sure from when you were a kid and when I was a kid to now, like it's completely different. And it's only growing at a more exponential rate. I was just this past weekend at a Genius Network event with Peter Diamandis, one of the biggest futurists on the planet, runs a couple businesses in like the AR, VR. He has a space company that like mines resources from asteroids, which is the most ridiculous business of all time. He's just, starting to say like, this technology is closer than we think to being 100% a part of our lives. I mean, I wear a fitness tracker that's like tracking me at all times. So I don't think that our kids are going to live in a world where technology doesn't exist. So I want them to understand how to use tablets and how to use computers and how to do. And some of my kids are like way smarter than I am on these things. But doing it with, going back to like what you said about me, is like doing it with intent. So not mindlessly watching 9 episodes of Paw Patrol in a row, right? Not mindlessly binge watching like Dino Trucks on Netflix. Not just completely blanking out. And even when we do watch, whatever show that they're into, like they're super into like Wildcrats right now, and it's kind of an animal show where they go and they discover different animals and their creature powers and stuff. But we talk about it after the fact. So after the show, hey, all right, so they talked about the Tasmanian tiger. Do you remember where the Tasmanian tiger lived? So Asia, what else is in Asia? And, you use it to stimulate that curiosity. And so I think technology, if you treat it in a way where you can keep that adventure, that wonder, that curiosity, then I think it's a good thing, because they're going to need those skills. I think all right, I don't feel like parenting this afternoon, so just watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse marathons until I feel like parenting again. That's not a good look. But there's a balance of inside, outside. But I think those 3 things, adventure, curiosity, and wonder, if you keep those in mind, technology is not a bad thing, but you need to use it as a tool, right? All technology is a tool, right? And you can use the tool for evil. You can use it for good. You can use it to build something. You can use it to tear it apart. You can use it's just a tool, right? Just like a hammer. I can use a hammer and smash my computer screen right now, and that's bad. Or I can build something that benefits my family, my life, the world. And I view technology in the same way.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. That was a really good, nice, balanced answer for everybody.
Like that, yeah. But again, technology is not going anywhere, right? So trying to limit their screen time, again, if it's mindless, different story. But they do need to learn these skills, and I think they need to learn them, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that made me think as well. Now, because the one thing, of course, that's like mind-boggling to me is you go into a restaurant and you just see the kids, phone.
So that's just bad parenting.
Right, that's fair enough. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I can understand. They take the phone away, and then the kid just goes bananas in the restaurant. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? So anyway, let me ask you something else.
Yeah.
That just popped in my head. What recently happened, right? My kid got really hurt. Actually, was yesterday. And you got 3 boys, so I'm sure one of them got hurt at one point where you had to go to the emergency room, et cetera, right? How do you deal with that? What's your process of making sure? Let's say it like this. I had a hard time with my oldest one who was there and with his comments, right? So he got a cut here in his head, and it was open like this, and it was deep. And my oldest goes, "Oh, you're bleeding. I'm like, "Oh, he was just quiet." And then he goes, and I didn't get mad or nothing. It's just, I actually find it funny, but he goes, "Oh, I can actually see your brain." I'm like,
"Oh man,
dude, can you just look at him like, my little one was a champ. Right? They stitched him up, and he was an absolute champ. But how do you make sure that the whole environment is just flowing and is positive for everybody, even though it's a negative experience? Let's go with that.
Man, it's a great question. I don't think I've ever expressed an answer on how to do that. So this might be some free thought on it, but
those are the best.
Yeah. And so I think given a situation like that, there is, so obviously my wife and I very supportive on the same team, but there is separation, right? So easily I can take Colton, my oldest, away if he's injured, be with him, and my wife can kind of take the, and just almost shelter them because, a 1-year-old doesn't need to see, brain, in that sense,
Exactly.
and the 5-year-old I think would almost be mortified too. So I think that we can play divide and conquer and separation there. The other thing is, we talked about this on an episode of our show last week of honesty and transparency with your kids and sheltering that. There's another one of my favorite shows in the US right now on CBS. It's called The Unicorn, and it's a group of parents. One's a newly single parent. His wife passed away, and he's got 2 daughters. And he comes out there, and he's just like, I would never lie to my parents. And one of the other characters goes, that's all we do is lie to our kids. It's all that's all parenting is making lunch and lying. And, and so there's this thing where we want to keep all of these things hidden from our kids. We want to keep, we want to keep their adolescence, their this youthful spirit alive as long as possible before they realize that how ridiculous the real world is. And so you want to shelter them, but you also kind of want to talk to them like, hey, do you know why this happened? Do you, did you see how it unfolded? What could we have done to prevent it? What could we do to help him? Like, how can we make this recovery process better for your brother? Is there something like, should we go to the store and get him something so we can help him? Like, and I think it's just, coming together and just trying to make that situation as it's not a learning moment, right? But it's more of how can we come together as a family and support each other? And know that, like, look, he's your brother. He's my son. He's, and how can we come together and support this person? What would make him feel better? What would make you feel better? Like, what would you like to do? Like, would it be ice cream? Would it be this? Would it be that? And you just try to keep them in that loving, supportive, sympathetic, empathetic role. One of the emotions that's tricky for us with 3 boys is empathy. And, one kid will punch the other kid, one kid will cry, wrestling. And I'm like, dude, like, you made your brother cry, like, say sorry, you kind of get riled up as a dad. And they're just like, sorry. And I'm like, you like hurt him. Like, they don't understand that, like, oh my gosh, I made him cry. I need to, I feel bad about that. Right. So I think teaching empathy, teaching sympathy, teaching that side of it it's difficult. But that is a big thing that I would look at in that situation is like, how can we make your brother feel better? How can we, what can we do to help him? What can we do to put a smile on his face? How can you and I come together and come up with this cool plan to like make him smile, even though he's had a really bad day today? That kind of stuff is what I would look at to try and like, let's rally behind the situation and make the best of it, because it's kind of all you can do, right? Because it sucks regardless, like stitches or no stitches. That didn't sound like fun, but if you can get everybody rallying behind and make it a good experience for them.
Yeah, good for everybody. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. So I'm glad you shared it like that. The oldest one actually helped the youngest one taking off his shoes when he was there and stuff like that. Yeah. And all the nurses were like, oh, that's so sweet. They're so cute. I'm like, yeah, come to our house. And that's what you say.
Exactly. That's what I say all the time. They're cute now, but yeah, wait a couple minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they were good at the hospital, so that was nice. So let's hop in through the next one, because you just mentioned, right? So boys fight and they punch each other, etc. So what came up in my mind immediately was like, okay, how do you go about that? And then discipline came in my mind, right? Which is not the word I like, but I've seen a lot of discussions as well on different Facebook groups and stuff like that about discipline. What's your strategy, team effort kind of thing? Is there a bad cop, good cop thing, or how do you set that up?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer the first part and then kind of talk about the discipline part. So boys being boys, we allow them, again, going back to the wonder, the curiosity, and the adventure, we allow them a little bit of extra freedom while doing things like skateboarding or wrestling or playing and playing football. My oldest plays baseball in the street with his buddies, and they're cut up all the time and bruises and nicks. And I want that. Yeah. Look, I don't want to be going to the emergency room every other week, right? I'm sure you don't either, but part of life And I think a big piece of what's missing from a lot of families today, and now we're seeing it with kind of the Gen Z, folks coming up, is they never got bumps and bruises. They didn't have broken bones. They didn't have any adversity. They didn't see that life punches you in the face sometimes. Life kicks you. Life puts you down. Life puts you in a hospital bed for a day. Life isn't just roses, unicorns, frozen yogurt, and hug circles or whatever these kids do. That you do need to have a little bit of resiliency, that you do need to be able to bounce back, that you do need to be able to get up. And does it sting? Yeah. Can you cry for a second? Yeah. But let's compose ourselves and let's be better from it. Let's be better. Something that we talk about a lot, especially because I'm into sports and coaching and things, is this idea of winning. And it's not that I have to win every game. It's that I go in wanting to win every game. And when I lose, I learn from it. It's this whole culture, and it's out there everywhere in the business world. It's like fail fast, fail fast, fail fast, fail fast. And I'm like, why would you start a business to fail fast? I'm playing business to win. I want to win this client. I want to win this deal. I want to be the winner. Now, I don't win every game, right? Does the best football team, basketball team, baseball team win every game? No, but do they show up to the game? They're like, I hope we lose today so we can learn something. Imagine Michael Jordan saying that, like, you know what, guys, we're going to learn some lessons today. No, Michael Jordan wants to win every freaking game that he plays. And so I want that mentality, but then also the humbleness to know we got punched in the face this game, guys. Like, what did we do wrong? We didn't hit the ball. We made some mistakes in the field. We didn't know what to do in these certain situations. Now let's go learn from it. But I never want to go into the game playing scared. I never want to go pad my kids up that they look like the Marshmallow Man when they go skateboard. They'll never have fun skateboarding. I want to have the helmet on. So, I want to be smart and safe, but at the same time, I want them to go out there and I want them to fall off the board. And I want them but I want them to go saying like, I can nail that trick. I can make that happen. I can do these things and empower them, but then also be there for them to say, all right, cool. You fell on your butt, what can we do about this? And learn from those moments. But I think going into any situation scared or thinking that you're going to lose or that, this is just going to be a learning opportunity. That is total wrong mindset. And that's going to get a lot of people hurt in the business world, in the entrepreneurial world, in life in general, because you're going to get punched in the face. Like as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you face this, like my day today. I had a great day today, but it was like this. Great. Oh shit. Client needs something. Now I'm having a great interview. And then, that's a daily basis. So the more resiliency you can teach them at a young age, I think the better that they're going to be prepared for all what life has to throw at them. Talking to the discipline really quick, very fortunate. My kids are still a little younger, so there's not so many discipline issues. We do a lot of timeouts, going into the room, things like that. And we make them do things. So, you're going to be in timeout. You can't go play baseball with your friends today, but instead I want you to go to your room and I want you to write. I want you to draw. I want you to, do something, from that standpoint. So we've been doing a lot of that lately. I'm not sure that we definitely don't have like a chart or a plan or, anything formal yet, but, getting them again, when you identify a wrong behavior, trying to fix it with a right behavior. And I know two wrongs don't make a right, and that whole side, but like you did something wrong, but now I want you to, how can we focus on doing a right behavior, a good behavior, something that creates good habits and instills the right values into you. So, we do make them read books, or we'll make them play in solitary with like Legos and things like that. I know like, Legos is a punishment. No, but like when you're forcing them to do a right behavior and creativity and just get them in that right frame of mind. Again, I got a little one, so I don't have teenagers sneaking out of the house yet. I'm sure things will change when that happens. But as of now, just a little solitary with good habit reinforcement.
I like that. Going fast on the time, man. I told you. So, last but definitely not least, man, because I've seen it all around. More and more marriages just breaking up, people just giving up so fast, right? Now you just mentioned like you married you met her at the Sweet 16, right? So that's
high school sweethearts, man, forever.
That's insane. So props for that for sure. What can you share? Like, what are some of the things to make sure that you stay connected throughout all those years?
Talking. So one thing. So I'm very much like whatever, like when you're in the thick of things as a parent, you just got to do what you got to do sometimes to like get through. And I get that. But one of the biggest things, and this is all her, that has been one of the biggest blessings has been getting the kids on a schedule, meaning that our kids go to sleep at 8 o'clock at night, right? If you're cool with your kids staying up to, like, I'm not here to judge in any shape or form, but what's been really, really cool is getting the kids to bed at 8 o'clock. And then we have time from 8 to 10, 8 to 11. That is our time. It's about me and it's about you. And we get to talk. We get to maybe, relax and watch a show. We get to plan what's coming up this weekend. We get to talk about what's happening. I get to tell her some of the cool things happening in business. We get to talk about, what I'm up to and the travel that I have. I get to learn about what she's going, like that time that is dedicated time for you and the wife is so important because there's so, like, again, you're running around. Like I might not talk to her from 9:30 until I get home at 5 o'clock. You know how much crap happens in that time frame? Like this kid came home from school and this and that. And while the same thing, so my rules, 9:30 to 4:45 or 10 o'clock to 4:45, she's got the same thing. She doesn't bother me while I'm at the office unless it's like 911 because she knows that's my time. That is so when I get home, like we got stuff to talk about. We got field trips, we got scheduling, we got this, but having that dedicated time for the two of you has been the most important thing that creates those consistent day-to-day habits in our relationship post kids, right? Since we've had kids. And so I encourage people, even if your kids go to sleep at 11, don't care, not here to judge. But then from 11 to 12, yeah, you do need to stay up that extra hour and have that hour of intimacy, of conversation, of openness, of just being there for each other. I don't care if you just sit on Netflix and watch a show for 45 minutes in each other's arms, snuggling on the couch. Have that time because, again, at some point, all your kids are going to be out of the house. And if you have nothing to build the backbone of your relationship on, that's going to be really, really difficult. And you're going to be really lonely during those last 20, 30 years of your life. And that's not a good place to be. So commit to that time now is probably been the most beneficial thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Great, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Greg, for everybody that's been listening, watching right now, or in the recording, or on the podcast, or on YouTube, whatever it is, right? If they have more questions, because we didn't even dive even more deeper into that chat, how can they reach out to you? How can they contact you, ask you questions?
Yeah, definitely. So on the dad stuff, again, we have a show. It's called Dad Chat. It's a weekly show. It drops every Thursday on all the fancy podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, all of that stuff. Just check out Dad Chat. And it's the news. It's the things that you need to know on a weekly basis to, take over the world and still be home in time for dinner. I think you guys will really like it. If you liked anything that we talked about here, I think you'll really love that. And also you'll be super informed. You'll go to your next, play date with your dad buddies and you'll be super smarter than everybody else there. So that's really cool. And on the business side, look, if you want to, any insights into media, into marketing, into branding and positioning yourself as an expert in your industry, we'd love to help there. The best place to go, we have a really cool video planner that we tell everyone about. It's at theambitiousplanner.com, theambitiousplanner.com. And that will get you into my world and, we can hang out from there. And then I'm just Greg Rollett on all the social media. So the name that you see on the screen in red, just find that on Instagram is probably where I hang out the most, but also Facebook, the Twitters, the LinkedIns, all the fancy shiny object places. But just know that I won't reply to you between the hours of 5 to 8 Eastern Standard Time.
Exactly. Love it, man. Again, Greg, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate you. Everybody else, thank you for having joined us. I hope you enjoyed it and got some value out of it. And we'll see you again next week. Same time, same channel.
Thanks, buddy.
Right. Take care.